Download patterns is a quick way to make useful notes from your reading. This is based on the principle of synthesize along the way. Pause to process what you read, and you'll remember the material for the long term. Synthesizing is combining the parts to form the big message. Synthesizing along the way, or downloading, means pausing while reading to recall the parts, connect them, add to your evolving understanding, and construct the main message. 3 benefits of synthesizing along the way are: you identify the point of the details and the connections between them, and thus do not become overwhelmed with the onslaught of isolated bits of trivia. You deal with the main message, which helps you organize and recall the supporting information. You free up your short-term memory so you are ready for more information. Download patterns capture the main points, not just the topic. It is the point the author is making about the topic. Capture the important details that lead to that main point. Show the relationships among the points and the details, and usually take around 3 minutes to create. Before reading an academic text, you should always preview the text for structure and content. As you preview, guess where you might want to download as you read. Place a sticky tab at these spots. Now that you have previewed the text, formulate your purposes to guide your reading to be sure you learn what you want and need to learn. Here are purposes for this chapter. Now read the chapter and pause to download as often as needed to meet your purposes. How do you decide where to pause? A general rule is to look for natural breaks, but the harder the text and the newer the information is for you, the more often you should stop to download. Thus, depending on your purposes and prior knowledge, you might download only once after several pages for easy texts, or as you realize the text is harder than you thought, download after every paragraph, or even after 1 or 2 sentences. Be flexible. Let's compare 5 different ways to download the same segment in this short passage. Of course, when you are reading your own text, you would use just 1 download pattern per segment. Before you see how to do these 5 popular download patterns, read this short segment with me. From 1500 to 1800, mercantilism, an early example of a command system of economic organization, dominated English economic policy. Mercantilism was the idea that the government should regulate the economy to strengthen national power. What gave a nation power? For the mercantilists, the key to national power was large stockpiles of gold and silver to finance the army and navy necessary to build and maintain a far-flung empire. But how could Britain, or any nation for that matter, build up its treasury of gold and silver? The primary way to bring gold and silver into a country was through a favorable balance of trade, where the value of British-made products exported and sold to other countries was greater than the value of foreign-made products purchased from other countries. Thus, the mercantilists wanted to encourage exports and discourage imports. If exports were greater than imports, other countries had to pay gold or silver to settle their accounts. Learn how to do all 5 download patterns so you have options for any text situation. For the /download pattern, put a diagonal line on your paper. Decide the main point of the passage and put it on this line. Think of the support for the main point and draw lines connecting them to the main line. Then put the details that connect them to the subpoint, and so on. The linear download pattern works best with well-organized text with headings that designate an existing hierarchical structure. Often, college textbooks have major headings, subheadings, bullet lists, and other features that make the organization clear. The linear download pattern is easy with these types of texts. You can form it from top down or from left to right. The web download pattern is perhaps the most common and popular because it is fast, fluid, and adaptable, and good for literary texts and free-flowing prose texts. You link details to the main point. You can also link ideas across the circles. You can easily add information from your background knowledge and experience to enhance the meaning. The pictorial download pattern is basically the same as the web download pattern, except with an illustration or symbolic visual in the middle that represents the central concept. The pictorial download is great for visual learners. Another way to do this is to add visuals that represent some of the details. Don't take too long, though, because the purpose is to organize and remember important information, not to create art. The random download pattern is the most fluid and flexible. Use it when you can't figure out the main point and seem to have a bunch of facts or pieces of information floating around in your head. Grab whatever comes to your mind from the passage, isolated words and ideas, and place them all over the space as you think of them. Get the ideas down. No order, just pieces of information from your short-term memory. Don't worry about organizing yet. Now for the fun part. Read the words you have written and look for connections between the concepts. Draw arrows to make the connections and briefly state some of those connections on the lines. It helps to ask, why are these ideas in the same segment? What do they have to do with each other? Now you can probably state the main point, even though the author did not. Write this last, because all of the other thinking has led you to this main idea. Then state the main point in as few words as possible. So do what works for you to capture the main point. Decide where to write your downloads. In the text, on a separate sheet of paper, in your class notebook, on your laptop, or on sticky notes. If you download in places other than in the text, include the text name and page number. Continue reading and pause to download when you feel overloaded. Download before you forget and free up your memory for what comes next. You've learned 5 download patterns, but you can also make up your own. A download pattern should have 4 characteristics. It gives the main point. It states the supporting details. It shows the relationship among the parts, and it is fast to create. Creating download patterns not only helps you learn information along the way, but it puts important information into your memory for long-term retention. You'll also have a great tool for reviewing the chapter later.